What's up, everybody? My name is Scott, and this is the SpoilerCast episode 9. I feel like I'm confusing the episode number every time, but it should definitely be episode 9. Almost 100% positive. So, what is the SpoilerCast? Well, it's funny you should say that, because I was just about to tell you. It is a video slash podcast where I, myself, Scott, as I just said, play a game and talk about the game and spoil the game. You know, and that's usually that. I played Batman. I played Fallout. You know, those are gameplay heavy games where spoilers might not be that much of an issue. You know, a lot of people play those for the gameplay. Whereas this game, people definitely don't play Tales from the Borderlands for the gameplay. So I'm going to be playing Tales from the Borderlands, and I'm going to be spoiling it and talking about the story and talking about the characters. And you have this opportunity to get out right now. And I'm going to count to 3, and you're going to be gone. 1, 2, I'm holding my fingers up and I'm counting to no one. 3. The 2 main characters disappear at the end of the game. You've had it, you had your chance. So I'm gonna start an episode here. I don't really know which one I'll start. I'll start skip on Bravo. Can I not choose an episode? I look foolish now. I look really foolish. I thought you could just choose an episode, but apparently not. I guess we're gonna choose the episode. It's a bit silly having an episode select screen in another part of the menu where you can't even select the episode. I don't know. I don't actually know how to... Okay, I've chosen that CFO. That should be okay. Sure, why not? I'm not really interested in playing anyway. It's just for, you know, visual fidelity of the video. So as I was saying, the very ending of the game, you have both your main characters, Fiona and Reese, and at the very end of the game, they enter the Vault of the Traveler, and as they enter the Vault of the Traveler, they disappear. And they I don't know why they disappear, because they touch a chest that's in the center of the room, and then they vanish, and then the credits roll, and then a massive cliffhanger leaves the series hanging, which is interesting. It's interesting because they didn't tie it up properly. But I do love a good cliffhanger, and I love a cliffhanger because it's shocking, and I'm usually a big fan of being shocked, that sort of thing. I guess I'm someone that likes a good shock ending. Game of Thrones has a lot of those, you know, one of those endings where you kind of hold your hand up to your mouth to indicate the shock. I'm a big fan of that. And one thing that I'm kind of worried about, though, is that, of course, they've ended on a cliffhanger, as I've been talking about. But Telltale have a lot on their plate right now. They have Minecraft to finish, they have Season 2 of Game of Thrones, they have Season 3 of Walking Dead probably coming up, they have a Batman game, they have a Marvel game, they have their own game that's original, they have the Michonne Walking Dead spin-off miniseries that's coming up, so they have at least 5 other products being developed right now, and I worry that this, because it's Borderlands and because I don't know if it's necessarily been that popular, it's definitely been critically well received, but I'm unsure if it's been commercially viable for them, so who knows if we're going to get a sequel, and so that's why cliffhangers are somewhat risky. The Wolf Among Us, I'm not going to spoil that here because this is the Tales from the Borderlands video, but The Wolf Among Us has a similar ending, which is a cliffhanger, and who knows if we're going to get a sequel to Wolf Among Us. We're probably never going to, because they have so much else, and they have Game of Thrones and things like that, which are probably much more commercially viable for them. They're probably a lot more popular. They're probably, you know, lining their pockets with Game of Thrones money right now, so who knows if we're going to get a sequel to this. I'm not too sure, but she's going to be in Uncharted 4. I do know that. They both got a lot of chemistry. I don't know if Telltale film, like mocap. I doubt they do. but they probably record in the same room, and they have a lot of chemistry. They work well together. You can see in this scene. I'm talking over it. Maybe you can't hear it that well, but the subtitles are there. They bounce off each other a lot, and I think that it's not only the acting, which is fantastic here, but it's also the dialogue. The writers have really outdone themselves. I think this might be like the snappiest dialogue that they've done. I don't know if it's maybe the subject matter, because Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, Game of Thrones are all kind of dire things, but this world here, which is in Borderlands, his world, which I'm not really a fan of. It's a lot more lively. It's still pretty violent, and it's dark at times and mature and that sort of thing, but it's also really, really funny, I guess, really silly. And I think that definitely... Did I not pick Stay Still? Well, I was controlling Fiona, actually. Yeah.
It apparently makes him harder to hit.
Yeah, see? This is just one example of the hilarious comedy that's happening in this game. But it's not just in like the silly sort of antics of Reese. You know, it's like there's like little like one-liners. Like I can't recall any off the top of my head right now. I didn't memorize them, but there are just a lot of hilarious things in the game. Like it's so funny. I've actually laughed out loud multiple times while playing it. First episode, like since then, like right away. So it's not often the games do that. It's sort of a comedy is kind of a weird genre. For games, I guess. I think it's because it's to do with timing and that sort of thing, and because you're playing in the game, you're controlling what the character does. It doesn't really lend for the sort of pacing which is necessary for comedy, but because this is obviously confined to a very linear story, it's more suitable for that. You know, you can't have like Skyrim being comedic. I don't know why I said comedic. It's nothing to do with medicine or anything of this nature. But yeah, I think that comedy works well in this. I've enjoyed it because of that. I enjoyed it because it's lively, and the liveliness of the performances. I think that I play Game of Thrones as well. I'll maybe do a video on that after this sometime soon anyway. And I think that one thing is that the performances in the TV show of Game of Thrones are obviously awesome, but I think in the game they've kind of been a bit lackluster. They're a little bit I don't know, too formal or something like that. They don't seem to be having like a good time when they're doing it. It's sort of cliched at times because of that, whereas I think here everybody has like a really awesome performance. Like Nolan North is awesome as what's his name? I can't remember. You'll see him in a second. Nolan North's the guy on this. This woman's pretty good. You know, Reese and Fiona, as I've mentioned already. And Gordis, who's this little robot here, who's the cutest robot in the world and is voiced by Ashley Johnson, who's Ellie in The Last of Us, is also awesome. Really, really kind of a naive character, but really sweet at the same time. There's one character, Vasquez, who gets killed in episode 2, or maybe actually episode 3. He gets blown away and he's got a huge hole in his chest and he's lying dead on the ground, and Gordis wants to leave, and then she's like, come on sleepyhead, time to go, and she's like tugging on like the dead body's leg to like pull it away because he doesn't understand that he's dead because she's so like innocent. And I just thought that was really funny. I was just like, oh no, Gordis, please don't move the dead body, leave it there. That man definitely has a hole in his body and he really doesn't want to go anywhere, so please don't touch it. So I really love the characters in it. I think they're fantastic. I think that I've really kind of grown to really like this world, which Borderlands, I played the first Borderlands, I really didn't like it, and I think that this sort of more linear, story-driven game definitely highlights Borderlands' strong points, which is really interesting world, really hostile, kind of great stories to be told within this world. I'm just not a fan of like the first-person shooter gameplay. I don't really like it. I don't really like the quests. I feel like it's kind of forces you into playing with a co-op partner, which I'm not a big fan of either, whereas this one I can just play on my own and I can enjoy a really good story. It's just like, here's one quest that's awesome and is really well written, and then you can just enjoy this one quest and you don't need to do any of the bullshit grinding or anything in between, which is something that I really appreciate, and that's really why I hope that there's more. Of course I'd love that. What else should I talk about? I should probably talk about maybe the individual episodes. You know, episode 1, you're starting with Reese and you're starting with Vaughn and you're going to the planet Pandora, which is where you are now. So it's these two guys who are working for Hyperion, which I don't really know Borderlands lore, but it seems like Hyperion is a kind of a hated industry which sort of makes weapons and things of this nature. So people don't really like Reese and Vaughn on the planet, and Fiona and her sister Sasha, who's the girl there. Yeah, they don't really treat Reese and Vaughn with any sort of friendliness when they arrive. They really are kind of hostile towards them. It's sort of interesting and emotional to see the effect that Hyperion has had on the planet, and that's why they hate Reese and Vaughn. They see them as the enemy, and slowly but surely they become friends with them, and you know, they learn to see past the corporate nature of this horrible company, which has done horrible to things to their planet, and I kind of really like that. I kind of enjoyed it a lot. Learning a little bit more about the world, and you know, I think that this game in particular helps build that world for someone who's never really experienced the Borderlands world before, in any sort of deeper, meaningful way. So that's sort of the first episode. Then episode 2 kind of brings in Handsome Jack, who's a character that I kind of knew casually. I knew the name Handsome Jack. There's the Handsome Jack collection, of course, which is on PS4. But I've never really knew who he was. But he's sort of this dictator kind of figure, and he's really, really terrible. He's a really bad man who sleeps with ladies at his chair at his office, which is something you shouldn't do because of health and safety issues, of course. He kills people, which is probably something that I should have put first on the list of bad things. You know, the first one wasn't as bad. There he is. There's Handsome Jack. He's a pretty funny guy, even though he's evil. He's kind of like he's kind of sarcastic, and he's a little bit ironic at times, and he's kind of full of himself. He's an egotist for sure, but I really like the idea that he's in Reese's head and he's sort of like controlling part of his body, and it's kind of interesting because Handsome Jack is dead in Borderlands, so it's nice that they brought him back and they interweaved him in the story in a really interesting way. It's interesting that he's trying to get back to Hyperion and take over his company again. I really appreciated that. It's hard to remember the episodes, what happened in each of them, because I played them all at once. I didn't play them separately, so yeah, it's hard to imagine what happened in between them, but you know what, forget 3 and 4. We're playing 4 right now. You don't really need to talk about that. Let's talk about the final episode, which is probably the most spoilerish one, which is fantastic. So basically the whole... I don't know why you're watching this if you haven't played the game. Why would you ever do that? So what you're doing in the game is that you're trying to find the Vault of the Traveler, and you're working with Fiona and Sasha and these guys. August is Nolan North's name in the game. I remembered it now. You're trying to find the Vault of the Traveler, which is a huge vault which has treasures in it and loot and things like this, which I guess loot is like the main currency in, or like collectible or whatever in Borderlands, and you're trying to kind of get some of that to line your pockets. That's the second time I've said line your pockets in this video, I'm pretty sure, which is maybe the most times that I've ever said it in my life, which is interesting. It's interesting what Borderlands brings out of me. It brings out all these sort of economic terms. You know, I should actually probably become an accountant now. So you're trying to find the Vault of the Traveler, and you need Gortys, which is a little robot who's talking now, and who was there earlier, to open that for you. And you need to fight a huge monster that's in there, and you all need to work together to fight the monster. So the last episode is pretty dire. First of all, you start with Reese blowing up Helios, which is in the sky, and there's a lot of wreckage and a lot of people are dying, and you're falling to the earth, and you pretty much failed your mission because you think that Fiona has betrayed you. She obviously hasn't betrayed you. You don't think she's betrayed you, but you think that she's abandoned you. That's kind of what I mean instead. So you're Reese and you're going towards Earth in an escape pod after Handsome Jack has taken over Helios's facility entirely. So you crash, land into the planet, and then you have to confront Handsome Jack for one last time, and because Handsome Jack is in your head, you need to take out your eye and your arm and all of your electronic parts, and Reese is just dismantling himself, and there's a lot of blood and stuff. So it's all kind of serious and kind of poignant, I guess, and he kind of collapses there, and you think he's in trouble. Turns out he's not in trouble, but it's a really powerful scene, I thought, especially because it's sort of getting rid of this, horrible dictator at the same time, and sort of showing how good Reese is in another respect. How willing he is to be a good guy and not side with a horrible man. So I appreciated that. And then, of course, everything culminates in the end in like a huge God, what am I missing? I don't know what I just... Okay, well, sure. Yeah, there's a huge battle at the end where you fight with all the guys, you fight with Fiona, you fight with Sasha, and you fight with a bunch of other people that you've met throughout the game. And I guess Borderlands ends always in like a huge vault hunting expedition where you have to pick like backup members and stuff. And it was kind of done like that, where you're picking members of your team and you're going to fight this monster to get into the vault. So it was kind of interesting that they're interweaving sort of tropes from the first-person shooter with this one. It's interesting. It's sort of, I guess, fan service for those that have played the other games. Not that it really benefited me in that way, but it's still cool that I was getting to do that, yeah, so I enjoyed those aspects, and I think that there's a moment where Sasha and Fiona have to go inside the monster to stop it from teleporting by disrupting its teleporting stomach. There's the dead body. That's Vasquez. He has no arm. So what was I saying? I shouldn't interrupt myself like this. I've got a very short memory. So is my memory gone? It is. I feel like that dead body right now. This is good. Oh yeah, they have to go into the monster's body. I remembered. It refreshed my memory. So they have to go into the monster's body, and you think that Sasha dies. She sort of sacrifices herself to destroy the monster, which is really good. But then you have like a really awesome emotional moment at the end where she's lying dead and Fiona and Reese are both there, and Reese has sort of a romance with her, and Sasha is Fiona's sister, by the way, so they both have emotional connections to Sasha, and because she's sort of dying there, it's really kind of a really emotional scene. And it's another moment where I thought, oh no, I'm going to put my hand over my mouth again in shock if she dies. I really don't want her to die, because she's really just sweet. She has good chemistry with the other two actors there, and I really, really liked her character throughout. And I really, really didn't want her to die. But luckily, she got saved, right at the last minute, which I fully appreciated that they did not kill her. So thank you very much, Telltale, because you did not let a grown man cry, which I totally thank you for. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, it definitely seems like something.
This is the moment where you can reveal that Handsome Jack's in your head, which I won't do here. Yeah, they're alright with it. They're like, yeah, you're alright. And then, but if you reveal that Handsome Jack's in your head, they get really, really mad. I don't really know why. I think they kind of overreacted a little bit, because you just didn't tell them that someone was in your head because they might think that you're crazy. So I think that was a fair enough sort of reaction. So maybe that's one aspect of the story. They become overly angry at Reese, just because he had something in his head, which I don't know. It's a little bit of a forced reaction, I think. Okay. So anything else that I want to talk about before I wrap up? It's probably going to be a shorter video. I'm going to end it probably pretty soon. Oh yeah, the intro sequences in this game, like the opening credits, are some of the best opening credits scenes that I've ever seen in any game ever, because they are slow motion usually, they have awesome things happening in them, awesome visuals, they have awesome music over the top of the visuals. It's just sort of a lot of either really poignant music that fits the scene well, or it's really catchy or just kind of badass in a way. I felt like I had like a huge smile on my face every time that they had one of those credit sequences. I'm probably not going to reach this one because it's probably like half an hour after this, or maybe not half an hour, maybe 15 minutes after this. But yeah, you should definitely check those out if you want to look at them. I'm sure they have them separately somewhere, but the intro sequences on all of the episodes, maybe the intro sequence on this episode might be my favorite one. It's when they're actually going to him, to Scooter now, and they're going to ask him to build a rocket to go to space, and the intro sequence is when they're going to space, and it's pretty fantastic. They're all floating in zero G and stuff. They're walking out like cool astronauts, and everybody loves cool astronauts. I'm a big fan of them, and I really appreciated those. They're really brilliantly done. They're not filmed, because this isn't a film, this is a video game, but if they were filmed, I think that the director would deserve a cinematography Oscar, possibly. You know, I don't know if they would be nominated for that. And obviously they can't because it's a video game, but they definitely deserve some recognition for those, because they're brilliantly done, and I really appreciate those. So overall, Tales from the Borderlands is fantastic. One of my games of the year for sure. It's awesome. It's like a 9.5 out of 10, which is amazing. Characters are great, voice acting is great, really funny, really touching story, really awesome dialogue. I might have already mentioned that, and it happened 2 seconds ago. That's how bad my memory is. Really fucking awesome intro sequences. They're some of the best that I've ever seen. A lot of games have good credits. Last of Us has good credits, but this one in particular has fantastic ones. So I think I'll leave it there. If you really like this video, you should subscribe. You should tell Janie Springs about me if you like. You should like the video. You should probably tell me things. Send me all the good comments that you like. You know, all the bad comments if you want. I don't really care. Either or. I'm happy just to have somebody talking to me. It's always nice to have company. So, thank you very much for watching. My name is Scott. This is the SpoilerCast episode 8 or 9. One of those two. Hope you have a really good day. Hope you enjoyed watching. See you guys later.